Good afternoon, everybody.
We'll open it up with questions for Coach Coombs. Todd, front row.
Hi, Todd.
How are you? How are you?
Great,
Irvin
thanks.
talked about your great organizational skills, but your personality seems to be a pretty good mesh for that special teams coordinator. Just how much does your personality inject into that unit there?
Well, I don't know how much my personality does, but I think the personality of the team is one of high energy, excitement. I love our kids. I love how hard they play. I've really incorporated Mike Vrabel into a lot of the stuff that we're doing because he's played on those units. He's done a phenomenal job at the highest level, and it brings a ton of energy to the practice and the game as well. So I think our kids understand the priority special teams plays for our team. So I think they play really hard as a result of that.
Tim may follow up to that. Philly Browns seem to have some trouble fielding didn't really field any clean punch yesterday.
Yeah.
How much you guys have to clean that up?
I think the first time really being out there at that time of day with a high sky and a bright sun, when I talked to Philly after the game, that was the biggest issue, and I think he'll be better. I know he'll be better this week. He's an experienced kid, and trust him back there, and I wouldn't have any concerns about that.
Front row left, Ari.
Hi, Ari.
How are you doing?
Great, thanks.
Just now going on your third recruiting class here, how do you feel you've grown now that you've had the mentorship of Coach Meyer? Do you feel just in that aspect of what you do here?
I think recruiting is a 365-day process at Ohio State. There's not a day that goes by that we don't talk about, focus on, and participate in some recruiting activities here. That I think is I won't say it's unique, but I would say there are very few programs anywhere that recruit as hard or as often as we do. I've learned a great deal, both strategically and organizationally, about recruiting. And I would say that because this is a national program, the balance of your recruiting changes a little bit from what I had done in the past. Kids are still kids. Communication is still communication. There's just more of them, and certainly more time spent on it here.
You've grown just in the past 3 years or changed your approach to the way you handle your own business, or have you just kind of stuck to what got you there, basically?
Oh, no, I'm learning every day. I think that I'm recruiting with a bunch of really, really good recruiters. And so I'll ask Tom Herman or Mike Vrabel or Stan Drayton or any of those guys, and we share information freely and willingly, and I think that that's what a team of guys does. And if they got a kid who's a really good player, and they have, what did you do? What worked? I ask guys all the time what works in recruiting. When I go into a high school, I'll ask the high school coaches what is this guy doing on this staff? What's a difference maker for him? I'm trying to learn all the time, and I frankly think our head coach is one of the best recruiters that I've ever seen anywhere, and he is constantly a source of information for us.
Front row, Lori.
Hi, Lori.
97.1. Hi. Urban had said that he plans right now to make Bradley and Armani an or situation on the depth chart. What does that mean practically in terms of practice this week? You're not going to split up those reps with first team 50-50, right?
We have a ton of reps available at practice, as you can imagine. We get a lot of work in. We'll rotate those three guys, Durant, Armani, and Bradley with the first team, because that's what we always have done, and have been pretty consistent with that throughout training camp. Pulled, obviously, Bradley back last week from reps in practice because it wasn't pertinent to the game on Saturday. And then we'll rotate the other guys with the second group. So our kids are playing both field and boundary and getting used to all the situations that might come up during the course of the game. So they'll all get plenty of reps this week.
I know you had once said that you usually like to put your best corner on boundary. Does that change depending on the opposing team's personnel?
Absolutely, and I don't use the term best necessarily. The kid who is best suited for what we do boundary-wise. It is the shortest throw, and a lot of times the team puts a very talented player there. The team we played this week threw the ball 24 times to the kid that plays on the boundary side. So that's you better acknowledge that and prepare for it. So the skill set is different for a boundary corner than a field corner, and so we try to manipulate that as best we can. But the three kids that are going to get the bulk of the play have to be able to play both field and boundary.
Front row middle, Steve.
Yeah, Coach.
Hi, Steve.
Hey, Coach. Just in terms of Armani, it's his first time. I asked him after the game. He said he played every play. The most plays he'd ever played before was 2 in
Right.
the game on defense. Just there were some ups, there were some downs.
Sure.
Coming through it, would you coach him out of that? And how'd you feel he did?
I thought he was average. I thought his effort was fantastic. He's a hustler. You know, he loves to play. He plays very, very hard. We had to use him on special teams as well. So in addition to the 68 plays of defense that he had another 12 plays of special teams. So it was warm Saturday, and that's a hard day for your first day. I thought he handled it extremely well. I thought there were times when his skill set was less than what we've seen in practice, and I wouldn't attribute that necessarily all to fatigue. I think that the other team made some plays, and I think that they tried to go after him. Things I was pleased with were the lack of deep balls. Even though they tried repeatedly, they weren't able to complete any of them. At the same time, missed a couple tackles and didn't play great in the red zone on the one set of downs. And but those are all correctable things.
Front row, Tim.
Yeah, Tim May, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi,
Kerry,
Tim.
how you doing, man?
Good.
How would you assess the special teams play just generally overall from Saturday and being in charge? What do you think has been your imprint?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know that. First of all, the head coach is in charge, as you can imagine. So I wouldn't, and his imprint on our team in every area is significant, and special teams is a particular favorite of his. And so we do an awful lot of things with special teams that are based on his style of coaching. I would say that our game Saturday was a mixed bag. I think the 3 penalties were critical and costly and unfortunate, and those are things that have to be corrected and cleaned up. I thought the dynamic nature of the kickoff team was important because there were a lot of first-time players and non-starters on kickoff, and you know, we had some issues in camp that we really cleaned up, and I thought they played really well. I thought in the return game, kickoff return, we have the opportunity to be very, very good there. We've got to make sure we avoid penalties and don't allow the other guy to take us out of the game with the nature of his kicks. I thought that punt return will be more effective if we catch the ball clean. We will attack punts and go after them. I thought Drew was great on both kickoffs and obviously his field goal and place kick. I thought that, you know, Ed Warner's design of things on extra points were fantastic. So, and I thought our punter, you know, survived. And he did what we asked him to do. And we didn't get any return yards, and we'll live to punts, hopefully not a lot more, but when we do, he'll be okay.
You know, as Urban said a minute ago and Stan Drayton reiterated, though special teams is sort of the portal for guys to then become full-time players possibly at their positions and stuff. What will it be like this week with like a Rod Smith showing up for duty? And, you know, I mean, just talk about how you look at that group as a whole, how you decide who plays.
The head coach is very clear. In fact, there were some guys I think that probably didn't get to play as position players on Saturday because they didn't start or play on special teams. And if you don't perform in those areas, you're not going to play. And so the competition to get on the special teams units is high. And so adding more healthy bodies to that mix is helpful to our team. We have to, especially in games like Saturday. We need kids who can run down the field and take the load off of some of the starters. And Saturday, unfortunately, we had a couple guys who had to catch a touchdown pass and then go cover a kickoff and things like that. We try to avoid that if we can. At the same time, that will be our priority. And if you can't cover the kickoff, then you can't catch the touchdown pass. And I think that's a tribute to the head coach and the philosophy that he has about special teams.
One last quickie. Give me one thing that Urban Meyer has given you as a recruiter. I mean, give me one thing that you know you're doing better because of what he showed you, an example of where he's helped you as a recruiter, I guess.
We have relentless and total immersion in the recruiting process. It is not just communication with that player. Know the player, know the coach, know the dad, know the uncle, know the algebra teacher, know the guidance counselor, know the custodian, whatever it is, there's something out there that is going to attract that player to come to Ohio State beyond your own personal, engaging personality. You've got to go beyond that, and that has been a great learning experience for me. And you know, I believe that I will continue to develop as a recruiter, and I'm excited about that as we go forward.
Two more questions. Far right, Dave.
Coach Dave Wilson.
Hi, Dave.
How you doing? Bradley Roby coming back. One, how excited are you? And even though it was just one game that he missed, is it possible that he's even hungrier and more motivated because football was taken away from him for a Saturday?
I would hope so. I think that football players at all levels, but certainly the great ones, they live to play the game. You know, the great players don't try to get out of practice. The great players don't try to get out of working out. They try to find ways to get in. And last week, all week, he was in the office watching San Diego State film to prepare himself for this week. He has treated his situation like a professional, and he has worked hard to stay in shape. At the same time, doing all that and knowing you're not playing in the game is different than doing all that and knowing you're going to play in the game. So he's excited about Saturday. I'm excited about Saturday. It's time to go, you know, and it's been a long time since he's been on the field. So I think he's excited about that, and I guarantee I am.
Two more questions. Doug, far right.
Kerry, Doug Sells, ABC 6.
Hi, Doug.
Good to see you again.
Thanks.
Dontre Wilson, especially after fumbling his first collegiate carry, how big is that for his confidence to come back with a big kick return?
Oh, I thought it was huge. I don't think any of us lack confidence in Dontre, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think Dontre lacks any confidence in himself. I think he's an awful lot of fun to be around. We're going to put him in situations where the ball is in his hand in the return game. We've got great returners. You know, I talked about it a lot. Last year, we were really limited and ended up developing Rod Smith, who became the fourth in the Big Ten. This year, we've got Jordan and Dontre and Rod coming back, and Ezekiel and Philly and Devin and Bradley, and it goes on and on. We've got a ton of fast guys who do magical things with the ball in their hands. None of them will return the ball well if we don't block up front, and on that particular return, the blocking up front was very, very good. He had a long way to run before anybody had a chance to lay a hand on him, and when they did, he made a miss. I think he'll be a factor and a force as the season goes forward. I'm looking forward to, you know, who you're going to kick it to. And even when you kick it to Jeff Hireman, he's going to punch it back out past the 35-yard line. So we're not unhappy with that at all.
Last question. Front row left, Doug.
Kerry, specifically on the kick coverage, Devin Bogard was out there coming back off the ACL from last year. How does he look? Is he all the way back in your mind? And you seem pretty excited after one of his tackles.
Absolutely. I think he's back 100%. I think that those kids, and he has to be one of the leaders of that group. I know you guys are probably observing how many first-time players end up on our kickoff team. Why? Because we recruit really, really fast kids who will run and hit you, and that's the nature of kickoff. And so as we begin to incorporate more and more of those kids on that unit, it takes kids like Devin Bogard, who has played it and been on it, to drive the rest of the team down the field. He has to become a leader in those areas, certainly while he's not on the field as a position player. And so it was great to have him back. Ron Tanner's another one of those kids, makes a ton of tackles in special teams, runs down the field, covers extremely well, very sound in what he does. Jamal did a great job. You know, we had some guys who were on that unit last year, and then we added a bunch of new guys, and we'll keep doing that as the year goes on.
Coach, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, guys.